All right. Welcome, everyone, to Formula Worldwide Leagues presents Friday Night Lights. It is our first race of Season 12. I'm your host and founder of FWL, Jim Cab, and I am joined today by Dakota Domino, one of our
Yep.
Division 3 drivers from our Sunday Euro League, having a hand at filling in the empty spaces when I've run out of things to say. So,
Hmm.
welcome, Dakota.
Yep, I'm here with something stupid whenever I can.
Um, you've got your own view, so just give me a heads up when we're in the race and let me know if you see something in the back of the field. Right now, I'm just riding on board with Hot and Cold, who's one of the first three drivers out. Most drivers are not waiting around. We've got light rain. I don't know what the forecast is. I haven't had a chance to look at anybody else's stream, but this will make for a very challenging um, qualification here in Portimao. Uh, Algarve, Portugal, and a place where Ayrton Senna called home for a while before his untimely death back in 1994. I've been watching the Senna or not docu series, the show, the dramatic show. So enjoying that
Hmm.
quite a bit. I don't know if you've caught it yet or not, but I highly recommend it.
I might have to look into it. I haven't had access to Netflix in a minute,
Oh, okay,
so
yeah,
we'll see how things go.
yeah. It's pretty good. I don't like what Netflix does, and just default to foreign films and shows having overdubbed English audio.
Hmm.
And although my Portuguese is terrible, my family is from Portugal, so I like to hear the actual proper filmed audio track. So I had to turn that on manually through on the English subtitles so I could figure things out. And it's really good. I think they did a fantastic job, and I'm gonna have to go back and watch the documentary again. That came out several years ago.
Hmm.
So
This is going to be an interesting lap for Hot and Cold since he had to deal with and still getting pole with the Sauber ahead of him. I know last race out in quali he did pretty good, fell back in the race later on. Uh, a lot of the faster drivers at the front kind of just fell off towards the end, especially as people decided to go for inters rather than wets. So the grid was very weird then. But again, I'm interested to see how the McLarens do around here.
you were at
That's what it was.
the preseason race last week, right?
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So we got a full grid and we got a lot of new drivers. So I'm gonna go down the order here real quick. We already have eight drivers who've set fast or hot laps already. Um, but Defy, um, Nick Arrow, he keeps changing his name.
Hmm.
He's been with FWL in the Div 1 for at least a couple of seasons now. Currently sitting in pole position with a 125.299. So he's back this season in the Aston Martin. Gifted is one of our original six drivers. He was before FWL. We were just called Friday Night Lights because um, we only raced on Friday nights way back in the day. So Gifted is one of the original six uh, members of the league, and he's stuck around here. He has two FNL championships under his belt.
Hmm.
So with Sketchy Bull, our four-time FNL champion, he's now bowed out. He's quote unquote retired from the league. Um, it's the championship is now up for grabs, so to speak, and I think it will be quite quite an interesting season to see. We've also extended the season to 16 races. We
Hmm.
usually do like 10 or 12, but we had a very long
Oh, so a
break.
massive leap.
Yeah, yeah, definitely a big leap. We have had longer seasons in the past, but as of the last two game cycles, I had kept the seasons to about 10 or 12 races. But we did have a big, huge break in November and December, and we anticipate F125 coming out somewhere around mid-May. So we've got the season running up till about right at the beginning of May. So
Hmm.
we made sure we filled in the gaps with all with 16 races this season. So it should be interesting to see going down the line. TTV one man, also uh, one of our original six members, back in FNL as a full-time driver. He dropped to WTF after we expanded into multiple divisions, and so it'll be interesting to see how well he does. Currently sitting P3 with a 125.4.
Hmm.
Fo Sina, one of our very few South Asian drivers. Um, he's back for yet, I think might be his third FNL season. And then we've
Hmm.
got Heat Gang, also a returning driver. Ooh, his rear end was going to snap away from him. That was season two.
Yeah, Portugal seems to have a history of that. I try not to put too much input because I know I'm not the greatest of drivers, but ever since like around 2021, I've always found rear end to be an issue around this track. So I'd imagine that would be an interesting thing to witness when it comes to the rain around here,
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
with all the
Next,
elevation changes and the blind corners.
I mean, that's why I like it. I like it's kind of like a roller coaster. I mean, yes, my family's from Portugal, and it's like my my kind of home track, but I do personally like it. I do tend to do relatively well in it, but it's still a challenging circuit. We
I
the
wish I could have
North,
some of that power.
we the North, is currently sitting in P6. Is one of our reserve Friday drivers, so he's not full time. He just reserves for when there's empty seats.
Hmm.
Moving into P8 is Spicy Noogie's teammate and newcomer, Hot and Cold. Currently with a 126.2. Hot and Cold's definitely got some good pace,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
I'm really interested to see how they battle up front. So
Clean
this,
driver too, yeah. Aggressive but clean.
yeah, absolutely, for sure. And as we mentioned, Spicy Noogies is their teammate and team principal for Team McLaren, sitting in P10 right now. Corey Lanzillo, also a returning driver and a driver from our sister league, Formula Whatever, which races on Thursday nights, um, sitting in P12 and this season's Alpine driver. Sweat Randall is another top contender. It's not showing in his lap times right now, but as he's sitting P13, but he is in the Red
There
Bull.
it is.
He's taken over the team principal role from Sketchy Bull, who's departed the league. Um, so we'll see if he does the Red Bull justice and battles up front. Back
Getting
down in
provisional pole.
P14 is OG Freed in the V Carb. OG is actually a reserve for FNL. He typically races on Saturdays in the NEA Division 2. So nice to see him out here. This isn't his first time in FNL, so um, it'll be interesting to see if he's able to attend as many races as possible. Down in
He's
P15,
on the
Curtis.
soft side now.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Down in P15, Curtis Chaos, a longtime member of the league and our head steward, driving for Ferrari this year. Currently sitting P15 with a 127. And then Corruption is a brand new driver. I was the de facto Kick Sauber team principal because we didn't have another Div 1 driver to take over the last team principal role. So I drafted him He seems to have pretty good pace, as does the other Kicksauber teammate for sprints, who has not set a time yet. And I'm wondering if it's a case of I'm not going to set anything and just start from the back. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Lobster
I've heard that's
is.
kind of common with some people. We're getting impeding here, I think,
Oh, really?
with hot and cold. One of the Ferraris. I think that might be Paxton. Yeah.
Mm. Nope. Paxton is in the pits, so that would be Curtis Chaos.
Oh,
40-pound Lobster is our second Red Bull driver. He's moved up from. Did he move up from WTF Div 2? I can't remember now. But it'll be interesting to see how he does this season. Nate is now in the Mercedes, previously a Ferrari driver, but now teamed up with Gifted. Currently sitting in P19 and doesn't look like he's set a lap, even though he was out there. And then Paxton just sitting in the pits. So Paxton is known for not really setting a lap and just starting from the back there. So with 6 minutes left in qualification, our provisional pole sitter right now is Foe, who famously in the chat just said, "I'm really rusty. I'm not going to do well today."
yeah.
Foe says that a lot. He does have pace. He does get himself into trouble or gets caught up into trouble. Sometimes he's got some network issues with his connection at home. Being in Malaysia, I think he's in Malaysia. I can't remember now. But
Interesting.
he is definitely rapid, and I'd like to see him consistently come out this season and really make a name for himself. No surprise,
Speaking of rapid,
Defy Patrick Duffy sets a 1:22.6, 2 seconds faster. But the thing is, he's on inters, but the track is drying, and I don't believe it's raining anymore.
yep, Curtis is currently on the salts as I'm on board with him. Uh, Currently on, I'm assuming by the ERS on an out lap, or not an out lap, a hot lap. Currently in Sector 2, stand by as they enter Sector 3, soon coming up here for if it's improving or not, as they slide off the track. That's unfortunate, actually.
He hasn't invalidated, though, so he might be able to still put up a
Yeah.
time here. But I mean, look at the gap between P1 and P2. 2 seconds, just under 2 seconds. I mean, I know Duffy is fast, but I mean, that's crazy. If he could. Duffy's problem is attendance. He doesn't show up very often, and it sounds like he's got some sort of technical issues. It took him a couple of reboots to get into the lobby today, but
That was a personal lobby.
um, if he can stay put here and have a good race, it could be a great start to the season for him. I'm going to switch over to Lobster because he's on a hot lap, currently P17 with a 128.0. He's on the red walled soft tires. And I'm going to switch to my telemetry and see if I can actually get a peek at his sector times.
What do you know about that? I'm on board with Paxton. He's actually doing a lot.
Ah, there
Probably
you
one of
go.
those late runners, actually. I know that tends to be common sometimes, where people will wait till the very end to try anything.
Well,
So I'm going to guess they're confident with their setup.
yeah, and that, and there's a good chance he probably saw that the rain was going to taper off in the session and figured, well, what's the point of going out there and potentially risking a DNF by, losing traction, slipping into the wall kind of thing. There's not a lot of
Very good point.
deadly points at Portimao, but I mean, in the rain, it doesn't take a whole lot for you to just go flying into a wall. So,
Cough, cough, turn
Lobster,
4, cough.
yeah. Lobster passes the start-finish line, but has not improved his time. So I'm guessing that was a second warm-up lap, and now maybe he's on a hot lap now as his ERS starts to deplete. I see Nate is out there. I'm going to switch over to Nate now. He's starting his hot lap. And Paxton is just a 127.5 on softs. Only good enough for P16 with 2 minutes left in the session.
Gifted head validated. Going on board with foe, who is guessing by their ERS not on a hot lap yet, actually. Excuse me. Who is on a hot lap?
I see Lobster's on hot lap. First Prince is still in the pits. Nate is on a hot lap.
Going to the final corner, Lobster. On board, let's see what we can get. Ooh. A long slide to the final corner.
Up the hill, and not good enough. He did change his time. I think he only improved it by like a thousandth or a hundredth of a second. Still in P18.
Yeah. That's always a painful feeling, even if it's like a small amount, or like you can like improve your time by like a whole second, a whole 2 seconds, and you just don't go anywhere. It's always a terrible feeling.
Yeah, totally. Riding on board with Curtis quickly. Oh, DRS is now enabled. That with
Astonishing timing.
50 seconds left in the session, everybody is out on the track except for First Prince. And Curtis Chaos just set a purple sector 1. And barely keeps it in track limits. With his 2 left wheels just hugging that white line. So I'm going to stay on board with him for a moment and see as he's making his way through Sector 2. Curtis is rapid. He is not one to be ignored.
Curtis, where thou be. There we go.
And the time is up. So anybody who has not set a lap or started their hot lap, they are done. I see, I believe one of the, the red lobster. Curtis crosses
Nice.
the line. P3 with
P3.
122.9. Heat Gang.
Spicy going to P5.
Oh, TTV one man 121.472, and he was on
the
inters. Oh my!
That should be a threat. That's a threat to the field for sure. That's a statement and a half.
Shots fired. Wow. Heat Gang's now tumbled down to P7, and that's exactly where he's going to stay unless he gets knocked out by. Yeah, he's already down to P8. Defy is.
I'm curious to see what Defy is going to do.
Yeah, he just set up a purple Sector 2, and I would not be shocked if he moves into P1 here. But right now, your provisional pole sitter is TTV one man with Gifted in second, only 0.2 of a second back from the leader, and Sweat Randall in P3. Oh, and Defy snaps the rear, and that is the end of that lap.
Highly unfortunate way to finish qualifying. Terrible spin.
Kiwi, I just switched to him. 121.012 sets the fastest lap, and with Defy spinning, there's no way he's going to be able to beat that. So there you have it. Kiwi, out of nowhere in the Alpine, pulls up and says, "Thank you very much. I'll take that pole position." And by 0.4 of a second, 4.5 actually.
Very reminiscent to last preseason race, actually, with the whole, I believe it was, what was their name? They were in another Ferrari. They had just, in the last minutes of qualifying, out of nowhere, final lap, just stole pole position.
Amazing.
Gotta love it.
That was some pretty good stuff there.
Now the question is, how can they hold it together in the race, and what's the weather going to be like for the race? That's what I want to know.
Yes, indeed. I think actually while we're going to do that, I am going to just quickly scroll through the results here so that I've got it. I'll have to do some fixing up. Okay, while we're waiting for that, I'm going to see if I could find, let's see, Gifted. If Gifted's still in his screen. I'm looking at the weather through Gifted Stream, and it looks like just sunny with some cloudy periods and no threat of rain imminent. At least,
isn't that lovely?
At least that's what the game is telling him. Whether that be true or not is a different story altogether.
All tales at its finest.
All right, while we have this moment, I'm going to try to see if I can import Paxton back into...
Now, I will say this. As much as I hate this track, I will, even for most tracks that I tend to not like, I do enjoy usually seeing people race there just because I know how hard it is to race there. So
Mhm.
watching other people do it is like, wow, this is crazy.
I think this track does provide a lot of really good racing action, and hopefully today we get like a banger for us for the season premiere. The full grid. Now
Can't
the
go wrong. Well, you can, but you know.
now the interesting thing is, as I'm looking at the timing here, the gaps from first to fourth is wide. It's a full second between first and fourth, and then from fourth to 11th, all the drivers are in the 122 range, and then from there we've got from 12th 123 all the way down to 15th, and then the times kind of start getting scattered down below. Surprisingly hot and cold. Only P17 with a 124.889, but I do feel like that was more to do with just timing, spending most of the effort and time out on the track when it was wet and raining and not really capitalizing on those last couple of minutes. It really did need the drivers to kind of pay attention and kind of get out there. But then you always run that risk when you've got 20 cars on track at the very last 2 minutes that gets congested and people aren't able to set the laps they want to set. So,
I will say though, from a driver's perspective, I am interested to see how setups are going to make a play because you know there's going to be people who might be using like qualifying setups. We might have seen it last time around where
mhm.
they'll be like rapid in qualifying and then as soon as the race starts, it falls completely off especially when the tires start to die off.
Yeah,
So I want to see like will the field like pretty much invert on itself or like are we still going to see a very stagnant field? How spaced out will it be? What are the strategies going to look like? Going to be a lot to keep an eye out for. So really excited to see how this plays out.
for sure. Um, we have our formation lap on. We've been contemplating ditching it. There's been some notes of how if you just go into AI mode, the AI will perfectly heat up your tires and it gives you an advantage. Um,
Mm.
but then on Monday, we also had a lobby glitch. It wasn't exactly in the formation lap, but I I do believe it was enough that we might have to
Mm-hmm.
reconsider the formation lap in this game. But we'll see. We'll see.
That's all you can do. Any predictions for the race? I had asked this last time. Let's see what we got now.
Um, I kind of feel like Kiwi. This is Kiwi's race to win,
Hmm.
but uh, I also feel Sweat Randall and Gifted and Defy. I mean, honestly, it's a real crapshoot between first and 10th. First and ninth for
Hmm.
sure. 10th, you can OG Freed is nothing. You know, he's pretty decent. I don't see him having too many problems. And then you've got Curtis and Heat Gang and Spicy and 11, 12, and 13. These are all seasoned FNL drivers. They just didn't have the quality, which is not unexpected given the rain. So they could make up some huge positions. And then we've got our new folks, Corruption, Hot and Cold, First Prince. Is First Prince going to do a last to first? Who knows?
Ooh, do you think I could do the like the when the lights are out, get the intro going for that?
Yeah, go for it.
Alrighty. Already seven boundaries here, eh? Second night already getting busy to work.
It's all good.
Let's see what we have as the drivers line back up on the start finish straight. Here we go. Let's get the energy ready. One, two, three, four, five. And the lights are out. We are live here at Portugal. We have an excellent getaway from Kiwi so far, keeping the lead, being followed quickly by TTV, with positions being changed. Defy going from 5th to 4th. A lot of positions down the midfield as well. Night Knight has gone into position higher. We have massive spin towards the back. What is going on back here?
We also have
Nate backwards.
Nate is got a drive-through. He jumped the green lights. And yeah, we've got Heat Gang and First Prince in the back of the field, but I'm paying attention at the front of the pack here.
Yep, just as I predicted, at some point, Hot and Cold, my boy is gonna be definitely finding position through that entirety of chaos off the start. Already up to P10, following his teammate up in 9th. Really pushing. Oh, it looks like Spicy's going for a move on the half of fall. Ooh, he makes a late lunge through here. Outstanding move. He makes it stick. Lovely move.
Yeah, the biggest gainer in this so far is Hot and Cold, up 7 positions into the top 10. Now, in FWL, we do use custom scoring in Divisions 2 and 3, but in Division 1, we follow F1 scoring, and that includes, for 2025, no point for fastest lap, which personally I think was kind of dumb. Like, I like that little extra point. It kind of gives a little bit more of a drama when a driver tries to steal it, right? And Heat Gang picks up a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, adding insult to injury. We've got 4 drivers in the pits. Nate, Heat Gang, Paxton, and Sweat Randall. Now, Nate had to serve his drive-through, so that's what he's in there for. Heat Gang, I thought, was caught up with First Prince, and I didn't pay attention, but oh yeah, Heat Gang's got front wing damage.
No, that's going to change things a ton for us. Oh, we're getting a bit of a locking up coming from Freed, who's having Hot and Cold right on his heels, getting ready for a move. I'm counting on it.
I'm following along back in the front here. Lap 2, DRS is available now, and TTV is within striking distance, but so is Deffy, so is Arsenal, who's moved up 3 positions. Gifted dropped 2 positions, so he's sitting in P5, and the fastest lap
on the back
keeps falling. Everybody crossing over, and did I see a piece of a wing there on the side of the road? Interesting.
I wouldn't be surprised. There was a bit of contact going on. We have a car stopped around turn 8, it looks like.
Well, that looks like a Red Bull. Sweat Randall.
Or not.
Ooh, not a great start to the season for Sweat Randall. Yikes.
Yeah, start is always where you want to get as many points as possible, and a spin off the start is never something you want to see. But it ain't over till it's over. There's 33 laps of the racing.
Exactly.
So
we've got
Hot and Cold just made a move on Foe. They're still going side by side, coming up through turn 7 and 8. Still side by side. This is that aggression I was talking about earlier. Off the track, going back on.
Oh, and they touch.
A little bit of contact. There's some contact. Oh, off the track.
No damage that I could tell.
But Foe got out of that well. Ooh, contact in the wall there from Hot and Cold as well. Spins like that off the start are the worst. You lose so much time to so many different cars.
Yeah. All right.
Gift is making a move on Arsenal.
I'm going to go back to the front here, as you mentioned. Arsenal and Gifted trading off spots. TTV is 6/10 back of Defy, who's now moved into 2nd place, and Kiwi is losing ground to Defy into the first sector.
Again. It's Sweat Randall again.
This may be the end for Sweat Randall. But look at this.
Possibly, as the field comes around.
Top 5 are all within a second of each other. So we've got a
aggressive move from Freed on Curtis. Sweat Randall's got a 10-second track limits. Forced off wide again, Freed. 2 wide through 7 and 8. We've seen this before, and it didn't go well. And there it is. Contact. Heavy contact. Lock up. Freed pushing Curtis off the track, giving the position back. He stays with him, though, and they've lost a bit of time to Corruption behind, who is just watching this, anticipating a bigger mistake from the both of them.
Oh, and Corruption just closes that gap very fast.
With 37% ERS and underfueled, so he's going to have to induce some Lyco. Locking up there, yeah. Corruption is going to have this with the DRS, as Freed is no longer in DRS range of the car ahead.
All right, Arsenal sets the fastest lap, 1:19, sitting in P4, up 3 positions from the beginning of the race. TTV in third. Kiwi is now in second with Defy in first. And I think Sweat Randall's just going to go retire. He's got another 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lanes.
Yeah, it's probably wraps for him. Unfortunate to see on the first race of the season.
Yeah, retired from the session. Very unfortunate. I don't know if he got caught up in some business at the beginning of the race, and it just kind of snowballed that way, but we're back at the front of the pack with a new leader on lap 5, Defy, in the Aston Martin. Taking the lead from Kiwi, but Kiwi is still within striking distance. So if he can hold on to the back of Defy here, he'll get that DRS. But he also has to contend with TTV One Man, Arsenault, and Gifted. I mean, our top 5 are stuck together, and they have been for 5 laps.
I will say this, though. Between Kiwi and Defy, they both are pretty much equal on ERS, so I want to see what their strategies are going to be for that.
Yes.
Especially considering that one doesn't have ERS and the other does. Are they going to use their ERS to get past, which it doesn't look like it. Instead, they're just going to rely on the DRS, moves to the outside, deep lunge, excellent move in the turn 1, running a little wide, but still staying on track.
Yeah, I wonder if that was a track
Lovely
limits
move.
warning there. But it's going to be some cat-mouse racing here with these two, I think. And honestly, TTV, Arsenal, and Gifted just need to sit back and wait for these two to... someone to make a mistake and then capitalize on it.
You said it. If you can have the patience to just sit and wait, save your ERS for that one thing to happen, you can make a lot of positions and a lot of magic happen just by doing that alone. Patience is key when it comes to something like this, as we get a bit of fishtailing from TTV, actually. Losing a little bit of time to the Williams behind of Arsenal. I want to see what Arsenal's going to do about this, as that's a major thing you can capitalize on as is. As we're getting a caution further back. They seem to have it under control.
I think that was We the North in the back of the pack there.
Yep. Going back with Arsenal. Excuse me there.
So
see what the DRS game gives us.
Yeah, and Nighty Night is now kind of... well, he's still 2 seconds, sorry. Almost 3 seconds, actually, off the pace. Defy takes the lead again. It's a total...
same place as the last.
Yeah. It's going to be a back and forth on this. They're both on mediums. So they're...
Yep.
We'll have to keep an eye out to see. Is somebody going to try the undercut?
Gold made a position for 13th. Going to be keeping my eye on him. That was an unfortunate start to the season. You wondering if that's going to be anything in the stewarding room that's going to be discussed, or perhaps a racing incident?
I didn't get a chance. I didn't see it, so I'm not really sure. We've only had, so far this week, we had one ticket in for like incidents, one from WTF, and it was dismissed because it was like an impeding. Whoa! I don't know if that was desync, but Kiwi was all over the place there for a moment.
Oh yeah, there was a slide for sure there. But he has more ERS than Defy, so... which I think he's actually... yes, and none, it looked like, saving up a bit of battery. As Kiwi activates Overtake. And now Hot Lap, back to Overtake. Back to Hot Lap, getting DRS. We're going to bet he's going to try and make a move through turn 5. See how this goes. Try and close the gap where he can. Oh, big slide.
Yeah, big lock up and slide there. Giving TTV a bit of little enticement. Come and get him.
And giving Defy a bit of breathing room. The key thing here as well is once the P2 and P3 start fighting, P1 usually can pull away simply because of them trying to jostle for position, especially if they have the pace like these two here.
Now,
So Kiwi does have the ERS advantage.
yeah, for sure. Now, he is out of DRS range at the moment, but I am following along with Nate in P19 as he is actually getting close to being lapped already here on lap 8. So, Arsenault
We
has
are
left the
having
session.
not a great thing to see with the positions he was in just now. Curtis has lost a ton of positions. I'm going to guess there was an incident there, likely a spin or something. Still with corruption, though.
Fighting for that
Tighter
last
line.
point. As I mentioned before, we only the top 10 in FNL score points, just like in real life. So,
Getting the DRS, though. Every point counts off the start, so...
yep.
Which is also why it's a shame to get rid of that fastest lap, because it could even have a strategic meaning behind it. That 1 point could be the make or break of where you finish in a season.
Now, just taking a look at the tires here. Our top 4 are on mediums, and then Arsenault, Nighty Night, and Spicy Noogies all on softs. So, with a, I didn't see the tire strategies graphic, but
I did, and the options were showing to be soft to medium and medium to hard, per usual.
But I'm wondering what lap. Oh, I didn't want to do that. I'm wondering what lap they'll be needing to come in on the softs. I'm gonna guess around lap 14, maybe. Is my guess.
Gifted has just gotten a 3-second.
There's our first track limits. Real track limits.
Common around this track.
Yeah. So Gift has dropped about 2 seconds back. There's been a bit of a separation from the top 3. And then Gifted and Arsenault. I think, is Arsenault still in AI mode? Because that could be why he's falling back. And he might be taken over by his teammate here.
Better sooner than later. Going back into the top 3, Kiwi is now back in DRS range. Okay, so they just need to ignore the hats behind them and focus on what's in front, and they could probably come back from this.
Alright, I just shot Arsenault an invite. He's dropped down to P6, and now he's in trouble from Spicy Noogies. Hopefully he can get back in the lobby here real quick. We're going to move back to the top 3 as Defy. And was that TTV going side by side?
I actually had looked more towards the midfield as it happened, so I did not see.
No, actually, I think it was Kiwi and TTV. And Gifted is... Oh, no, that's not Gifted, actually. That's the lapped car of Nate in the Mercedes. He is now sitting between P3 and his teammate in P4. So I'm sure he'll be giving way rather quickly. Ooh, Corruption picks up 10 seconds. So lap 10, we've got our soft runners already pitting on lap 10.
Could it perhaps be because of the tire degradation, or perhaps they are planning something?
Well, I mean, the softs do have like a pretty steep drop off.
Yes.
So it's quite possible that they thought it's time to come in, but they did go on the mediums. So they've got 22 laps to do on these mediums.
But Randall has finally left the session, it seems.
So we have our first pit stops, Corruption and Hot and Cold. They are now back out on the track on the yellow sidewalled mediums. I'm imagining they are with the intent of going the distance with these. Meanwhile, our
Would perhaps the hards being better be a better strategy for that though? Oh,
I
Defy just had a spin.
yeah, I see like a big moment there. Um, I I'm not sure to be honest with you. I think the
Lock up.
hards the
Hmm.
you don't have the pace with the hards, but you definitely have like the longevity. And
Hmm.
if you were to switch to the hards like Nate just did, and say a safety car comes out later on, then
Ah,
you've got
yes.
a set of yellows in your back pocket or reds, depending on what you started with, and that could benefit you depending on where that goes. Now, TTV went a little sideways there, lost a few tenths, but he's still within striking distance of that DRS. And Gifted has closed that gap to 1.7 seconds. So he's not quite back into the mix of the top three, but we have a podium battle on our hands that's been going on since the very first lap.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe it was Gifted that lost the win in the preseason race because of a 3 second, actually.
Yikes.
Another 10 second for speeding in the
Oh,
pit lane.
nighty night.
Nighty night.
That does not help
Ouch.
matters at all. 12 laps on the Reds, and they'll be tumbling down. That's one thing I will say. That's the one thing I don't like about this circuit is the pit entry is killer. Um,
Ah,
I picked up a 10 seconds in the race on Monday night in the Grand Prix, I believe it was. No, maybe it was the sprint. Yeah, I think it was actually the sprint because in the Grand Prix I got a drive-through for speeding under the safety car, which was is that a second one for hot and cold? Oh, hot and cold and
that is at a
corruption. What
retirement.
happened? Oh, did they just retire in pits?
It seems
Well,
like
that's
so. Is there going to be intervention? It does not seem like it from race control. I have seen that sometimes where you would retire in the pits and it still calls out a safety car.
yeah.
Very unfortunate
Luckily,
for hot and
we
cold, though.
don't have that. We haven't had that happen in a long time. Although corruption's been sent back out, so that's awesome. You gotta
Lunge
love
from
that.
Kiwi getting the position.
And is he gonna be impeding? No, I think he was, but I mean it's not
Oh.
him. It's the AI. So once again, Cody strikes again with a. We ask all the drivers to retire in pits so that they can
Yep.
stay out of everybody's way and prevent an unnecessary safety car. And yet the game still likes to spit them out and mess with people.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened there with hot and cold and corruption, but because it's very odd that
Probably
the two of
just
them would go
unfortunate
into
events.
the pits at the same time and then retire. So very
Yeah.
strange. Not a great day for Team Kick Sauber. Although First Prince is still out on his original soft tires and is moved up to 14th place from P20 after not setting a lap in quali.
If they play this game well, they could probably win through strategy, or at least get more out of the race through strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Though I'm not a big strategist, so I'm not going to sit here and speculate.
Well, I mean, if they can make those softs last as long as possible, then that helps them with their mediums. Will it be an overcut? Mm, I mean, the only other people left on softs right now are Arsenal, who's in P8. I'm not sure if he's back in the lobby yet. And then We the North in P13 and First Prince in P14. And there's a big gap between those two 10, 13 seconds between the two.
I've
But
had
our,
my eyes glued on this top three fight for a while. They've just been sitting here for a minute now,
yeah,
and
for
I'm
sure.
waiting for somebody to make a move. It's
Now,
gonna be bold, though.
Corey and Arsenal are both pitting and have set or put on hard tires.
Ah, there it is. Let's see what they can do with it.
Now, everybody except for Nighty Night and Spicy Noogies has yet to pit in the top 10. So Corey and Arsenal should get those positions back. But
Mm-hmm.
we'll see how this plays out. I don't expect these medium runners, which is now, well, again, the top 10 are all on mediums. Only 2 of them have pit. So 8 are yet to pit. And I could see them going at least another 5 laps
Mm-hmm.
and give them like a 10 plus run to the finish on softs.
Very
Now,
close, these two.
yeah, I was going to say TTV's dropped out of DRS range now. Gifted is still sitting about 2 seconds behind him in 4th place, but Defy is all over the back of the gearbox of Kiwi, and 3 seconds for OG Freed
Here's the
there.
32nd. A bit of a slide coming from both the top 2. A bigger one from Kiwi, though. This is going to hurt. And again, they are equal about on ERS, so I wouldn't be surprised if Defy gets the move done through the start-finish straight. Very long straight.
Yeah.
Though, if I'm not mistaken, this track has a bit of a similar phenomenon that goes on with Spain, actually, where the long straights tend to be deceptive. You actually want like a high downforce setup around here.
Yeah, you definitely want a higher downforce setup at this circuit just because of the undulation and the corners. They could cause you a lot of pain, as you know, with traction. But
Yes.
at the same time, that front straight, even with the high downforce setup, it's not hard to get on the ERS and DRS, do the combo and get right in it. Defy and the Aston Martin sitting right in the gearbox of the Alpine in front of him. Kiwi is putting up an amazing fight here.
Indeed.
Oh,
Oh, a slide. They are
and,
on the limit for
and
sure.
I don't think he really lost much time. In fact, he's back. He's back into 4/10, 3/10.
Which is quite impressive, I will say.
Now, who is that in front of them?
One of the V-carbs being... How many V-carbs are left?
Heat
Both
Gang.
of them.
It's Heat Gang.
Must
So
be
Heat Gang
lapped.
just stays on the inside.
Actually, might have saved Kiwi, I'm going to be honest with you, now that Kiwi got DRS and a bit of a tow.
Right,
So,
because he was right
great
behind him.
timing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Likely we'll be getting some thanks later on in the paddock for that one. Staying ahead through both DRS zones. Though, even still, Defy is right on his diffuser.
Now,
Going
even
on board, we can see some hard shifting as well. A lot of Senna-type shifting, if you will. Very late to shift through the corner rather than very early.
So I'm just looking at the top 10 here, and as it stands, only one team's going to score double points, and that is Team Haas. So that will be interesting for the Constructors' Championship.
Kiwi's pit strategy is currently open, I believe, so this might be, while they're being overtaken here, a good opportunity to pit, perhaps, for a new set of tires. Be on the fresher rubber by the time they're still within this close gap with Defy. Because one lap is all it takes, honestly.
I'm going to switch down to Gifted because it looks like Gifted is now finally caught up. Oh, caught up to
Just
TTV, but picked up another 3 seconds, so
Commentator's curse.
he might pick up that position yet. He does seem to have a little bit more pace. I think TTV's pace is dropping. Ooh.
Side by side.
Yeah.
Ow. Love to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. That rear end of the Mercedes is very, very wiggly, though.
Indeed. Curious to see what Kiwi's going to do as we're approaching the pit entry. And even more curious considering that apparently this track has a habit of catching drivers way off guard when it comes to pit entry with how early it is.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how that plays out.
We've already got 2 with 10-second penalties for it. Nighty Night and Heat Gang. But Kiwi stays out. Right behind Deffy. Pulling into the
Going
inside.
through. And on the subject of pitting, which as they go side by side through 2 and 3, going for the under-over, not getting the traction out of here, but instead getting DRS, there's going to have to be a lunge through turn 5.
Oh, he goes to the
He
inside,
goes
takes
for
a
it.
look.
But he
No.
bails out.
And
Wow.
Deffy's teammate, We the North, is right behind them, now down a lap. So P14 and beyond is is a lap down.
Very unfortunate. Most of the field that was P3 and down now have pit. It's just these 2. So when are they going to come in for their new set of tires? Very curious to see how this plays out for them and who's going to come out on top from it. Ooh, a bit of a slide from Kiwi.
The other 2 drivers who haven't pit yet is OG Freed and the Racing Bulls, or V-Carb. I think I might just keep calling them V-Carb. Who's diving into the pits there?
Kiwi dives into the pits now. Ooh, lock up,
that was
lock
Kiwi.
Up, makes it.
Kiwi does the undercut. And now the 2 Astons are out there on their own with Gifted 30 seconds behind.
Kiwi puts on the soft tires. Quite interesting indeed.
And TTV set the fastest purple sector, sector 3. Now that he's on those softs, so we should start seeing some new fastest laps start to crop up. OG Freed and a 40-pound lobster are the only 2 remaining drivers, aside from our leader, who has not pit yet, sitting in P10 and 11. And we got a huge gap between can Defy, I keep switching, calling him Defy. Can he pull out enough to be able to cover off and still come out in the lead?
I'm going to be the Debbie Downer per usual because it wouldn't be me if I wasn't here to doubt everybody. I'm going to be honest, with the gap where it is, he's probably going to be either just behind or like just side by side if we can continue getting this pace from Kiwi because he was closing but is starting to fall back a tiny bit.
Well, actually, I'm just looking at the interval here.
Now, actually.
Yeah, he was about 25 seconds, and he's now up to 23 seconds. He set a purple sector 2 and purple sector 3. And he does not have DRS as he's trailing the Kick Sauber of First Prince and passes him.
The issue with long runs like these is, you're running on older tires, so when the people behind you who've already pit are on their newer tires, they can catch up to you very quickly. So you begin to lose more time in the pits than if you were to pit earlier. Mm-hmm. So it's a dangerous game of chicken they're playing.
Interestingly, Foe has pit. Is this his second pit of the day? I thought he already pit.
I don't know, but I believe it is for 40-pound lobster.
Sorry, I was talking Foe and the Haas. That is his second pit stop of the day. Lap 22 of 23. This has gone by rather rapidly, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. And
speaking of rapid, Defy stayed out again.
Yes.
What are they planning? They are losing a ton of time. They need to pit now or never. It is running out.
Yeah, because
they must have something planned.
Kiwi is now 21 seconds behind, so I don't know the exact time that you lose on a pit, but it's probably somewhere around 30 seconds. 25 to 30 seconds is my guess.
And that's not even including the possibilities of things such as penalties, botched stops, and other
Mhm.
things in between. So, if I were Kiwi, honestly, I'd try to push within 20 seconds and then just chill out there, save my tires a bit. Maybe a bit of BRS even, if I'm feeling really ballsy.
Now, since there's a big, huge gap, I'm going to go back to TTV and the Haas chasing down Gifted, who has 6 seconds in track limits penalties. So
Ouch.
TTV just needs to just hang out here, conserve his tires,
Yep.
and then he can almost guarantee himself a podium finish, which is where he was early in the race. So this would be a nice recovery because I do believe he dropped down to fifth at one point and then came back up to fourth place. So everybody but
Again,
Defy has not pit, or has pit, I should say.
what is he planning? Because he is still out and still losing time.
So the gap is now down to 20 seconds. And, oh, he does not have his telemetry on, so I cannot tell you how bad his tires are, unfortunately. So,
There is something here that we are not aware of, and I'm not sure what it is, but
I mean,
it's crazy, actually.
my only guess is that he just feels comfortable. So he's holding on as much as he possibly can. We do know that those reds drop off, and the drop off can be
Yes.
really,
Ooh,
really painful. So even though he's going to lose the position from the pit stop, there's a good chance that he could just roar right back up to the front on fresher
very
softs.
fresh. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Might I
they
also add, like, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say the
As he
and the
fits.
drop off won't come until
Oh
oh
my goodness! There it is! The 10-second, the fabled 10-second. Defy now has it. This changes everything. Literally everything.
I mean a perfect pit stop aside from the 10-second penalty, and Kiwi barreling down the front straight is going to easily take first place. And we've got a caution in sector 3, but it looks like it's already cleared. So
Oh! And Defy pushing the Haas wide as he exits the pits. All
so
the time you have to leave a space.
Gifted now in second place with a 6 second time penalty. Defy in third with 10 seconds under in his pocket. And TTV just sitting there in the Haas. Take your time, pal. You can now you're looking at inheriting second place, not just a podium finish, but second place. And meanwhile,
I'll tell
all this
you.
has been happening, and I just noticed Spicy Noogies has moved himself up into fifth
Oh,
place.
yes. Indeed. So, still getting points for the team, you know?
Eight
Always a
positions
great
from the
thing to do.
start. He's the biggest gainer on the board as it stands.
Nice
And
small driver of the day.
yeah, I believe that we may see that for sure. So who's that? Like, oh, that was the I think that's Heat Gang or maybe even OG Freed. Now Defy is going to challenge and pass Gifted in the Mercedes. And I
Oh, and
think,
the Haas comes back.
yeah, one man's trying to do the
Oh.
same thing. He's still sitting behind him, and
Gifted now
Gifted's
having 9 seconds.
yes, yes, Gifted's not going to be happy with that. Oh wait,
This race is now falling all in the hands of TTV. Outstanding drive from the Haas driver as well. This is again the patience coming in key. Sit and wait.
and I'll mention since we're talking about the Haas, Foe, who's had two pit stops, is in P9, so they're still going to have double points today if it
Hmm.
stays as is with 7 laps to go. So
It'll be them, Williams, Alpine, and I believe that will be it from teams getting double points.
yes, yeah, I was going to say Corey's moved himself up into P8 now, and Arsenal's moved himself up into P10. I'm assuming No, I don't know. I don't know if he's back or not.
Maximum net running 3 seconds. Track limits. So Lobster's likely going to inherit that position. Fastest lap for Defy.
And quickly do some invites here because it looks like Arsenault and Foe are both out of the session. Heat Gang has just retired.
Yep.
And what do we have here? Nope. He retired in pits. He'll probably get spit out. Well, it does look like he's sitting tight there, so that's all right. So four
Yep.
DNFs today out of 20. Not terrible. No safety cars.
This is true.
Arsenal's back in the mix.
Got a slide from TTV. This man, I have to say, if Spicy isn't driver of the day, second place for driver of the day has to be TTV with the patience, the driving. And again, where did he start again?
Well, he did start P2 or P3, I think. He started P2. So I don't think he'll pick up driver of the day because the game really does do driver of the day based on how many positions somebody gains, right?
Yeah.
So Spicy
Noogies for
Noogies.
me, like, yeah.
Now We the North could also pick
second.
up driver of the day since he's moved up 8 positions as well and sitting currently in P10, making the Astons another team to score potentially double points. Oh, what happened to Foe? Foe dropped all the way to 14th place.
Oh dear.
Something happened there that we miss. Unfortunate.
Never a great sight or a great feeling.
So, Defy's sitting comfortably in P2 with Gifted right behind him. So I don't know if I would say it's comfortable, but it's a 4-second gap.
I was about to say.
And Gifted's got 9 seconds, so he's got him covered for sure. So he should be able to
TTV will be there
on to P3 at the end of this race as we're 5 laps left.
Yep.
But Kiwi is 3.8 seconds ahead of Defy. And I don't see that gap closing up too much.
Your prediction will likely be coming true. It's likely going to be their race. Just got to cruise to the finish. That's all Kiwi's got to do.
Duffy has definitely, he cut down 2/10 just in this lap here alone, or in this sector alone, I should say. But that's a long ways to go to make up
Great battle.
13 seconds, because that's essentially what he has to make up. TTV is still challenging Gifted, but not like playing patiently, right? He's just
no risks, because all it takes is a spin in the wrong direction, and that P2 is gone.
Yeah, and you're throwing it away for nothing. So just hang tight. Don't fight too much. Stay close to him. You got a 13-second gap to the car behind you, who also has, I believe, a 10-second penalty.
You got the pressure on. Who knows? If they could even make a mistake, because I know that's another thing, psychological warfare. Just sit in someone's rear view for long enough, and they could likely have their chances of making a bigger mistake.
All right.
Freed is just retired.
Yeah, OG's gone into the pits and retired, so another one bites
Both
the dust.
V-carbs.
V-carb's going to get big fat zeros today.
You sound like a teacher saying that. You got a secret career you want to share with the class?
No. I could never be a teacher.
Fair enough.
Defy has cut down the lead by another second. He's now 2.2 seconds behind Kiwi. It's a tall order. Yeah, 3+ laps to go. I don't think it's going to happen, pal. But a valiant effort nonetheless.
My words exactly.
I do like to see that he's still fighting this. He is not giving it up. He's holding on firm to a podium, I believe, because he is now 7 seconds ahead of Gifted. He'll probably lose second place, but this may actually be the time where TTV One Man's got to be itching to get past Gifted, because he's like, you have 9 seconds and I'll take the position from you, but I could also take the position from Defy if I stop getting held up by you. So we may see something, or he'll just play it
It's
patient and
also
just hope for just the podium as a whole.
This would also be unfortunate for Gifted, though, as this will be the second time in a row that they lose out a good position because of a penalty.
Yeah, yeah.
Because preseason or not, still not a great sight to see at all. And it's a poor president as well, and possibly even ruins one's confidence going into the season. But they've clearly shown they have the pace. They just have to keep it within the lines, and they have whatever they need right there in their hands.
Well, Gifted has always shown that despite the track limits challenges that he has, and to note, Gifted is a pad player, like a gamepad player. So,
Mm-hmm.
that's one of those things where I think the track limits is really, really hard. It's even harder to maintain
Yeah.
when you're playing on a gamepad versus on a wheel. But he consistently
And
comes out with like top 5 finishes, which puts him in the championship hunt almost every year. So,
as someone on wheel, yeah, even around tracks like here, track limits, there's always going to be a couple of places, especially around like turn 11 and sometimes like the exit of turn 5, where track limits are just so hard to deal with. Turn 1 especially. So, let alone on the controller, I could never. So, definitely got to give props to the men for that.
all right, we have started the penultimate lap of this Portuguese Grand Prix. Kiwi in the lead in the Alpine. He is just
Oh!
just been passed by Defy, and Defy has a lap and a half to pull away 10 seconds or more. I mean, I got to hand it to him. I was starting to say earlier, in the past, I could see him just throwing it and be like, whatever. But this is the way to start the season. Even though you've been burned by a 10-second penalty, you come roaring back. You still hold on to that podium position. He's most certainly going to have it. It's just a matter of whether he's going to be second or third. Gifted's going to lose the
Yep.
podium. TTV should easily regain it and potentially even get right up to P2.
Assuming he doesn't slide like that again. Because actually, earlier in the lap, he had gone onto the sausage curve, or not, he had Gifted had gone to the sausage curve. He scored the position. I'm going to guess he got a little trigger happy with the gas and spun it a little.
Oh,
As Kiwi gets a 3-second.
whoops.
This is, wow.
Oh, and TTV just passes Gifted
So it's the last lap, so
on the last lap.
12 seconds.
Kiwi is 6/10 behind Defy. And Defy's got the Haas of Foe in front of him, wiggling around
I
on
think
this
Kiwi's got it.
final lap. He's definitely not going to be able to pull off enough of a gap to be able to hold on to first place. But what a race. TTV is definitely gonna no, he might actually be out of striking distance for that second place finish.
Oh, yeah, just fell back.
Just couldn't hold on any
That's going to
further.
hurt.
Defy crosses the line first, but takes second place. TTV crosses the line, not quite yet, but
P3.
he's definitely going to be in the top 3. A podium finish for the Haas, P2 for the Aston Martin of Defy, and Kiwi takes the win, the first win of the season for Team Alpine. And I think we've got a clear message. Who are the drivers to beat? Your number 1 and number 2 right there.
Yep. Wow, that was a race.
Yes, it
No, that
was.
was a race. Woo-wee.
Gifted
Gotta say,
round comes into
mhm.
fourth place. Spicy Noogies in fifth in the McLaren, and then Curtis Chaos moved himself all the way up to P6 in the Ferrari. Nighty Night in his inaugural FNL Season 12 race. P7 for the Williams. Double points for the
Both
Williams
Williams
because
double
Arsenal
points.
comes in ninth. Corey Lanzillo in the Alpine. Double points for Alpine as well.
And Aston as well, I think, being the last one points.
And Curtis
Wow.
Chaos gets driver of the day. I wasn't expecting that. I
What
really
do you
did
know
think it
about
was going to be
that?
Spicy Noogies, but hey,
You never know in Formula One. Excuse me for sounding like a bot. There are our drivers. Outstanding performance from Kiwi, for sure. Great drive. Off the start, qualifying, was just on it all race long.
Defi picked up the fastest lap. Unfortunately, it means nothing in this
Mhm.
race, but it's still that's still to like 171 um, faster than anybody by a second.
Wow. And that's what waiting that long gave us, I guess. And it's funny too, because now that it turns out you were right. Had he not picked up that 10 second in the pit, he could have won this just by holding it out that long.
Yeah.
Amazing. Painful though, but amazing.
Well, that was really entertaining, that's for sure. Let's see. Let's get in here. Welcome, sir.
Hello?
Can you hear us? Make sure that you've got your audio selected so that the stream is picking it up.
Yes, sir. I have it all selected.
Awesome. That was quite the drive. Very impressive, sir. Unfortunate that you got the 10 seconds, so you lost out the win. But as I mentioned in the broadcast, if you hear it later on, the old Defi would have probably just kind of backed off and considered it a loss. But you fought your way all the way back up front. You crossed the line first, even though you finished second place. I mean, that was some excellent racing between you and Kiwi. Is this what we're going to be looking forward to for the next 15 races?
No, I expect to win it by more.
Oh,
Yeah, I was kind of doing like complete different tracks of practice for an esports event, so I kind of forgot this, so I joined like 3 minutes ago, ran a random setup, and I had better pace than I expected. The pit lane incident was quite unfortunate.
yeah.
I think my overcut would have definitely worked if I hadn't have done it, as we saw.
Yeah, we
But
were wondering, like, this is quite the overcut you were going for, and in the end, it actually did pay off. Those softs were just on; they were like fire for you going through the late stages of the race there. So,
yeah, I knew how fast they fell off, and I knew like 3 laps or 4 laps later than the guy I was battling with would be the difference. So I knew I could have won it, like based off pure pace, but the pen was quite unfortunate. It wasn't really even close either. I went over by like 8, but
yeah.
that's what happens when you don't practice much.
Well, and to be fair, the pit entry for at Portimao is really, really challenging. You have to have it like on point. It's very easy to pick up that
Hmm.
10 seconds speeding in the pit lanes. But still, a great start to the season. It's 15 races to go. If you and Kiwi battle the way you did today, we're in for a hell of a season. And hopefully a new champion.
Yes, yes.
Great stuff today.
Thank you.
That was definitely very entertaining to watch, though. So
Yeah, definitely.
glad to be part of that.
My friend was watching in the background, so I heard you guys the whole time. I heard all the why does he keep on staying out? He's gonna and yeah, honestly, I was kind of laughing in my head because I calculated the
Yeah,
gap from when he pit, and I knew I would have had perfect time. So it was kind of fun to listen to that.
Awesome.
I was thinking that too. Like, is there something he knows that we don't, or like what's happening here? Like, nobody usually does this. There has to be something going on behind the scenes that
Just,
we don't know about.
just math. Hey,
Maybe I should study more than that.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, we don't have any of the podium drivers because they're not on Xbox, so it's all you today. But excellent again. Thanks for the entertaining race for our round one of season 12 here in FNL. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the rest of the season brings out. So good work. We'll see you again hopefully next Friday. And yeah, Dakota, do you have anything else you want to ask or add for the end of our broadcast today?
Nope, that pretty much covers it.
Awesome. Um, okay. Unfortunately, I don't think the telemetry picked up properly, which sucks. So I'll see if I can figure that out somehow. All right. Well, it's been a slice. Thank you very much for joining me. Thanks everyone for joining and listening and following along. And if you're watching this later on YouTube, well, thanks for checking that out as well. My name's Jim Cab. I've been joined by Dakota. Thank you, and we will catch you guys next time. Okay.